Welcome to Storytelling Basics, Part 2. We're going to start off Part 2 by talking about pacing and Jo-Ha-Kyu. If you think of story structure in Freytag's pyramid as the route along which a race is run, pacing and Jo-Ha-Kyu are how fast that race is run. Is it an endurance test like a marathon? A speed test like a sprint? Although Jo-Ha-Kyu was first used for creating Japanese opera, it is now evident in any storytelling effort in Japanese culture. Plus, the concepts are used all over the world as well. They're not just so nicely defined, so we'll use the Japanese word for it. The important thing is the process it describes of how to create good pacing. So let's look at the parts individually. Jo. People like a slow, quiet beginning. They like being eased into an entertainment experience. Even stories that seem to start in the middle of the action start with very basic, easy-to-understand action. You're not asked to remember complex plot twists in the opening scene of a movie. At the beginning of a crime novel, we usually get to see our protagonists at rest. The dead bodies don't show up until later. Ha. After the quiet beginning, the action builds gradually, getting more and more exciting and complicated. Things start to move faster and faster. This would be your rising action. Kyu. And then there's a quick, exciting finish and a quiet pause. We don't like endings that go on and on. The action on this part of the racer's route needs to go quickly. It's the climax, the falling action, and the denouement all go very fast. The Japanese say the perfect pacing for a story is like a stream. It starts out quiet and smooth, moving gradually but steadily along. Then it starts moving faster and faster, like rapids, culminating in a gorgeous, big, exciting waterfall that rushes quickly over a cliff and is followed by a quiet pool where the stream pauses before continuing in a smooth, steady way. So it cycles back to the Jo. You can do this over and over. But your story should follow these principles in a big sense. So, the beginning should be slow and gradual, going faster and faster until the ending is very quick and to the point. I want you to ease people into your world and take time introducing the important characters during the exposition. Make sure you explain everything that needs to be explained, and then start having everything go gradually building up to the climax. The most thrilling, exciting moment, remember, and finally end with a short, quick denouement. You're going to need to put all of this to use in your workshopping stories assignment. You're going to be writing a story summary. A summary is a big picture overview of what's going on in your story. It's not a short story or a novella. It's a rundown of this happens, then this happens, then this happens. It's possible to write a summary that is as short as one paragraph or as long as 10 pages for the same story. It just depends on how much detail you decide to include in that summary. As an example, the one-sentence story summary of the Monopoly story from before could be: Lizzie J. Magie patented a Monopoly-like game called the Landlord's Game in 1904, but Parker Brothers paid someone else millions for the popular game and fought to keep Lizzie's invention out of the public eye. I don't want you to boil your story down to just one sentence. Instead, I'm looking for something more like the 3 paragraphs you saw before. Notice that there was no dialogue or fancy wording. We skipped over some of the details about who got paid what for what and how and when and who picked things up from Lizzie and that kind of thing. This is just a bare bones explanation of what happened. This is what I want from you. But I'm going to give you 5 or 6 paragraphs to do it in instead of just 3. I want to be able to focus on the quality of the plot. Now, writing in this bare bones way actually makes grammar and spelling problems stand out more. So don't overlook that. Points will be taken off for each grammar or spelling mistake. And just so you know, these are the stories I see a lot. I'm not saying you can't use any of these motifs in your own stories. I'm just saying that each month I tend to get multiples of each one of these. So try making your story original. Avoid cliches. Bring yourself and your own experience to these stories. Make them your own. You're going to be further developing this one story all month. Your assignments in weeks 2, 3, and 4 will refer back to and build on this week's creation. You'll be iterating on it and improving it, rewriting it as you go. And although this is a game design class, I want you to focus this week on writing a great story. We'll talk about how that story fits into a game in the following weeks. Right now, just focus on using the processes I've talked about here: story structure and pacing, Freytag's pyramid, and Johakyu. Put yourself into it, and good luck.